Dr. Jones. I saw Sadie.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Lisa, are you ready to do our land acknowledgement?
All right. British chiefs to the Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian people. We respectfully acknowledge them as the original inhabitants of Southeast Alaska. Bartlett Regional Hospital is located on the homelands of the Asquan. We are grateful to provide services in your and south for homeland and to be a part of this community.
Thank you. Anita, can you call the roll, please?
Here. Sally Beery. Here. John Resser.
Here.
Lisa Peterson.
Here,
Al Geiger.
Present.
Lindsey Jones.
Here.
Brenda Dash.
Here.
Max Mertz.
Here.
Deb Johnston.
Here.
Kenny Solomon Gross.
Here.
Thank you, Kenny, for attending. And those of you who may not be aware, Kenny's away from town on medical leave, so he's going to be joining us, but and we'll answer questions if necessary, but he's going to keep his camera off. Or if he wants to make a statement. So thank you. I also want to introduce, many of you have met Ian online, but now he's live and in person. The staff is, most of the staff has already met him.
I think I met most of them.
So I'm just going to roll call vote for the board. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with the board as well as the staff, the medical staff, the clinical staff, as well as the administrative staff. Very honored to be chosen for this, and you know, it's my first day here, and I already can tell you have some really great people on this board we're working with. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's time to approve the agenda. I have one change that I'd like to recommend to the agenda. I would like to pull the personnel investigation from executive session into the open meeting. And I'd like to place it after the president's report.
I would like to object. Number one, for two reasons. Number one, I believe that there's confidential personnel issues about hospital employees and hospital physicians, including myself. I feel that those are confidential and should be handled through the hospital policies as directed in both the medical staff bylaws and other things. Number two, I don't see any way a public discussion about this is going to improve our ability to provide care for this community. I don't think there's any way it's going to increase the cohesiveness of our staff. And so I think it would be counterproductive to our mission, vision, and values.
Thank you. We have had a request from one of the other participants in this investigation, one or more of the other participants, to pull it. With your objection, we will need to take a vote of the board, whether or not the agenda as proposed amendment will pass.
So, and then one other thing, if we are going to leave it on it, then the report needs to be public. We can't have a discussion about a report, which my understanding is a confidential report, but the report is not public. So I don't know how we can have that discussion about a public report, about a report in public if it's not public. My understanding, it's not public. Is that correct?
So through the chair, Dr. Jones, if the board votes to move this agenda item and it stays public, we will be required to put
Okay.
memo in the public and it will go public.
Could we have a roll call vote?
Madam Chair,
Any other comments?
I think we should just think about this a little bit. I didn't come prepared to vote on this, and you know, my thoughts are just kind of racing all around. Yeah, I'm uneasy just as a snap decision just voting on this. I think I'd just like to table this to the next meeting, to the November meeting, if we're going to, and give this a little more thought as to how I vote.
If that's the motion, I would second that.
Is that possible on the third?
So we'll vote on the
I just-
motion first.
Are you looking to me as to motions? Okay. So if there's a motion, and then it's been seconded, you can vote on it and
To table.
to table it. That's the motion. That's the motion you were seconding, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can do that.
All right, do we have any discussion about tabling? All right, if you could. Call for the vote. Okay. On tabling. The motion is to table till the November meeting.
Shelley Beery.
Yes.
Dr. Astor,
Yes.
Lisa Peterson,
Yes.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
Al Geiger,
Yes.
Brenda Knapp,
Yes.
Max Mertz,
Yes.
Deb Johnston,
Yes.
Katie Solomon Gross.
Yes.
Motion tabled until November.
That being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as listed on our,
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
okay, the agenda is approved. Do we have any public?
Deb, Madam President or Vice President, I think we need to, this is still going to be an amended agenda because we're going to be taking out the personnel investigation out of the executive session.
You are absolutely right.
Okay, I would move to approve it as amended.
I'll second that. Action. Table it.
And I'm assuming nobody's going to change their votes. Hearing no comments. The agenda is approved with the deletion of the personnel investigation from executive session. Any other comments before we move to public participation? Okay, do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak? Anyone online? Seeing and hearing none. It's time we move on to the position.
Right, guys, I am super excited about this position this month for several reasons. So after I finish, please hold your applause because there's a second award that's also being awarded from the state that I will point to. So please bear with me. I initially started with a 7-page draft and moved it down to the regular size. So bear with me. So, dear members of the board, I'm speaking to you about the Bartlett Physician of Excellence Award. We have many fantastic and dedicated physicians working at Bartlett Hospital. My hope is to recognize at least one a month for their outstanding service, clinical acumen, leadership, and commitment to providing the best quality of care to the residents of Juneau. This month, I am pleased to recognize Dr. Timothy Quigley Pearson for the Bartlett Physician of Excellence Award. Dr. Pearson's remarkable Alaskan journey began over 3 decades ago when he joined the Juneau Medical Associates GEMA after a serendipitous encounter at the Red Dog Saloon. Since then, he has been a steadfast figure in the healthcare community, leaving an indelible mark on the lives of countless individuals, both here in Juneau and throughout Alaska. One of Dr. Peterson's most distinguishing qualities is his extensive experience in pre-hospital care, including his invaluable contributions to the EMS and ski patrol. His expertise and hands-on approach in these critical domains have earned him unwavering respect and admiration from any and everyone who has ever worked with him. He has played a pivotal role in establishing both the CARES, Community Assistance Response and Emergency Services Program, ensuring safe transportation for intoxicated individuals, and the MIH, Mobile Integrated Health Program, which supports both high healthcare utilizers and individuals with limited resources in our community. These initiatives have not only improved patient outcomes, but have also significantly enhanced the overall well-being of our community. During the trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Peterson emerged as a beacon of strength and leadership in our healthcare community. He pioneered a program to support our unsheltered population as well as individuals struggling with substance abuse, utilizing a novel approach to treat both while preserving limited healthcare and community resources. His tireless efforts in coordinating responses, implementing safety measures, and providing critical care have been instrumental in mitigating the impact of the pandemic. Furthermore, Dr. Peterson's new role in palliative care showcases his adaptability and deep empathy for patients facing complex and sensitive medical situations. His patients and their families have benefited greatly from his comprehensive and passionate approach to end-of-life care. Recently, and as I mentioned before, we'll get more into this, Dr. Peterson's exceptional contributions were recognized with the 2023 AHA Patent Award, a well-deserved accolade for a lifetime of outstanding service in healthcare for the state of Alaska. This honor serves as a testament to Dr. Peterson's enduring commitment to excellence and his profound impact on the healthcare landscape. These are only a few examples, of very, very, very few examples, of Dr. Peterson's prolific 43 years of commitment to the field of medicine, and serve as a testament to his exceptional dedication, compassion, and skill. In light of these remarkable achievements, his continued service, it is with great enthusiasm I present Dr. Timothy Peterson for the Bartlett Physician of Excellence Award. His legacy will continue to inspire and influence our medical community for generations to come. Now, again, he did win the Patent Award, which is a state-recognized award for outstanding service, and really did pioneer programs. And one of our very own, Gail, had nominated him for that, and he won it. So, Gail, I will pass it to you.
Thank you. So I am doing this on a last minute because Dr. Rosenfeld loves to put me right at the last minute award here. So the Patton Award was recognized for Dr. William Patton, who is an orthopedic surgeon in Alaska, and it gives recognition to physicians who have about 40 years or more of exceptional service across Alaska. And there were two recognized doctors this year in Alaska. One was Dr. Paul Ebno with South Peninsula Hospital, and then our Dr. Quigley Peterson. And I can't say enough about Dr. Peterson. Quig, as everyone knows, is amazing. So when we sat down as a team, it wasn't just me, even though he keeps pointing a finger at me every time. When we sat down and said, what physician should we recognize? Everyone in the team just said, you know, Quig has done amazing things. We have great doctors at Bartlett. I am not going to say that we don't have great doctors at Bartlett. We have amazing doctors. But as we came through COVID, I will say he just did amazing things. He would come in and say, what about this? How can we do this better? I mean, one of my early memories when I started in education with him is he brought me a sim man and walked down to the hyperbaric chambers that we weren't using at the time and said, what if we started doing simulations down here with the fire department? He was one of the reasons that we're doing mock codes. He just is a visionary and an innovator. He doesn't take no for an answer. So this is the type of physicians that we have at Bartlett. He is the type of person who inspires all of us to do great things. So that's why we recognize him. That's why we come to work every day, is to work with people like Quigley. So thank you.
That's a lot of glass.
I was told I could actually say something. And I had thought about this a little bit, and since Ian is here today, I want to maybe take you on a little journey. It'll only be 2 minutes, I promise won't be that long. Well, first of all, a correction. I was taken to the Red Dog by Jim Thompson. But he signed my medical license out in the street. I said, when's the interview? That was the interview. And he pulls out a thing like the police used to have, a 3-page thing to write you a traffic ticket. He wrote me my 2-month locum tenens license, no fingerprints, no background checks. And there you go. So this was 1989. 1989 is when the ER was where the main lobby is. The thing she's talking about is long gone, the hyperbaric chamber. Bob Valiant, who this building is named after, it was a small enough place. He knew the names of the people pushing the brooms. It was a sweet time for administrators. You sent a bill, you know what Blue Cross did? They paid you. They actually sent you a check. And we had paper records. It was like, and I came into this ER situation here where 3 or 4 docs in their late 30s to late 40s and 4 or 6 nurses who all were mid-20s to mid-30s, all having babies. And we grew up together in medicine. It was so sweet and so beautiful to be part, of a community where we were taking care of our friends and neighbors and being part of the team. And it was really awesome. And the biggest downfall about that lovely care was computers. Because as soon as they put computers in the ED, the nurses were at the desk instead of in the room. And it was like, this is nursing, but this is the journey that, we've been on. And it's been quite a challenge. But the thread through all of this has always been these incredible people who come to Bartlett and work and commit themselves to this and take care of friends and families. And I think that's what keeps kind of most of us going. And during COVID, we really came together. I mean, or at least the first 6 months, we were on it. Here's Wendy's wife. She's making Tyvek suits with free stuff from Home Depot. They made 450 of them for the fire department because we had 25 paper gowns. Paper gowns not worth much in Juneau, right? And so we kind of got through all that. And that was really hard, on our employees because we were heroes and then we were villains. People spit at us. We had the mask wars, it was really hard. And then we moved into the financial difficulties, which was really, really hard because the focus of all you in this room was we got to keep this thing together because of the mess that we're in. And also during that same time, I would like to share that I was lucky to be part of a team that was helping sign the new ER thing that was so collaborative compared to the one we have now. When we had the one now, they basically just did it from some outside thing. And I understand the plug got pulled on that for financial reasons. And what hurt me about that was that it was just demoralizing for people who were engaged. And I'm not saying that as a criticism by any means. I mean, staff's got to do what they got to do. But what I've seen happen in the last 10 or 12 years has been just so much change that I think sometimes the employees get left out of the equation. And I applied for the board last fall saying, I think we really have to look at the employees. We really have to look at employee retention. And as Kim or someone said earlier, you can't just pay them more. I get that. But I'm imploring the board that every time you make a decision, think about these lovely people who work here. And just kind of, I feel like I'm going to cry, but I want to say this, they're so important that just think of how we can acknowledge them and what they do, not a coffee card, not a burrito, and it can't be erased. And I think that's a huge challenge. And that's the biggest challenge that your senior leadership team has right now. But I think we're up to it. I think we can get past it because they don't mistrust the leadership, but they need it. I think it has to get earned back just because of all the, can I say a bad word? Bullshit of the last 10 years. And that's it. But thank you for listening. And I hope that that's helped meaningful to somebody. Okay, you're a good man.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Great. It's time to move to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Good, sure, right? We reviewed the minutes and the consent agenda, and I didn't approve.
Any discussion, any objection? The consent agenda is approved. Old business, Kim, do you have a capacity update for us?
Yes, thank you through the chair. So we have no patients in house with COVID. There has been flu. I tried to look it up. I couldn't get a disease system, so I don't know if Dr. Jones has what numbers of flu you've been seeing through the ER?
My last shift, it wasn't too bad, so it's not crazy yet.
2 employees are out with COVID. Med-Surg, we decided we're not doing the daily census, but the patient days. So last month, the patient days for Med-Surg was 401. MHU was 132, CCU was 84, OB was 56, and ED still averaging about 35 to 39 patients a month. RC has 9. We have 5, I almost said employees waiting placement. We have 5 patients awaiting placement, either long-term care or SAR. I will let Kim Stout give the update for Census for Wildflower Court when she does her report. And the state has asked that leaders around the state have asked to start calls again with the state, that we biweekly calls with all the hospitals in the state. And we started this during COVID, but they're seeing high numbers of pediatric admissions and flu RSV in Anchorage area. So they've asked to jump on a statewide call where we all talk about our hospital capacity. So as we start moving through that process and we start seeing more cases here, that will be involved, that will be included in my report. And that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Could you, what was the number, through the chair, what was the number that you had for the ED admissions? I think you said 30 something. That seems way low.
It's about 39 is what they saw last month, average.
39 per day.
Per day.
Day? Oh,
That didn't make any sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay, I'd like to bring up an item of new business. This is something that's relatively new to the board. Engineering and Public Works reached out to the board president and the acting CEO asking for input into the legislative preference list that they're working on. We currently, we had an item on last year's, we had $4 million for the behavioral health building that didn't get any traction. It wasn't funded. I'm not sure we even made it onto the list that CBJ submitted. We've been asked again. We are, my recommendation is that we pull that $4 million off. We're effectively, that building is effectively complete. We've pretty much paid everything that we have to out of all funding sources. So now's the time to look at what our other options are to put on that list. My recommendation, and I've spoken to Kenny and Max and Nate about it, and I believe you and I, Ian, this morning talked about, to add $2 million for the ED project to make sure that we have full funding for that project. However, my intent is not to discuss it tonight. My intent, if everyone agrees, is to forward that to the planning committee, which meets on Friday. And the board will need to approve whatever it is that we add to that list of legislative preferences. So it will come back to this body in the November meeting, and then we'll meet our December 1st deadline. So any discussions about the process or this is my recommendation. This is not the intent is not to steamroll. It's just my recommendation as something that we should put on. So if it's all right with everybody, I'm going to punt it to I'd like us to punt it to the planning committee for discussion and recommendation to the full board in the November meeting. Okay, that was easy. Medical staff report.
Medical staff report, we have two action items for you. Just a quick update, we will be meeting on Wednesday, the culmination of a year's work on bylaws, rules and regs and everything. We're doing our first ad hoc committee. If everything goes perfect and there's there's no further arguments, that'll be presented to the med staff at the next meeting. I hope so. Hi. I did meet with Dr. DeJoy today, the new psychiatric medical director, and he is as enthusiastic as I am, so I'm really excited about that. We're looking forward to that. That being said, I have 2 action items for you. The first is the medical staff committee meeting attendance policy. It's just some grammatical corrections to the current policy we have. The second one is actually to move the MedExec delegation of authority policy to archive because it's addressed in our bylaws. So we don't have these 2 issues. That's what I have for med staff report right now.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion to us?
Yes, both of the action items are in motion.
And since it, do we need a second on that? Since it came from.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments?
I was just gonna say, since it came from committee.
Comes
They're
from
not
med
a-
staff, so actually, a
It's
member,
not-
a board member has to motion and then you have to second. I can't make the motion.
Yeah.
No. Are you gonna make the motion?
I will make the motion then.
It's on the screen.
Okay, I move that the Board of Directors of Bartlett Regional Hospital approve the updated medical
Staff and committee meeting attendance policy and archiving the MSEC delegation of authority policy as requested.
Any discussion or objections? That motion is passed. Committee meetings and reports. Let's start with the finance committee. That's you, Ben.
Thank you, Deb. Finance Committee draft minutes are in the packet. We met, it was Sam Muse's last meeting. He has gone back to work for the city. We were sorry to see him go. The minutes are pretty self-explanatory. Nathan brought a change to me. It looks like it's already been incorporated in the version that's in your packet though. So I move that we accept the minutes.
Shall I say? Any comments or objections? Okay. Compliance.
So the minutes are not in the packet because we just met. They haven't completed yet, but there's 3 things I want to point out to the board. Previously, we had a discussion and we decided that as part of board compliance training this year, we wanted to focus on fair market value. And so we looked at an outline and some details about the course that's going to be prepared, and we're going to recommend that that be presented at the next board meeting, November board meeting, and that the training begin at 5 o'clock. And that's, of course, a decision that we'll leave up to the board, but we have something prepared for fair market value. The other thing that the board had talked about before is part of board training is to have some self-paced material that people will go through individually, maybe through YouTube or something. And you'll see in the packet a list of courses, and I think there may be some redundancy in here. I think there might be one course in there twice, but we recommend these courses with the addition of one other course that we don't have identified yet that will be also in fair market value. So these will be this should take less than an hour of your time. And we're going to ask that if the board accepts this recommendation, that these be done before December and that every board member fill out an attestation and turn that into Nathan. And again, so you can get started, here's the list of the specific courses and links to YouTube videos. The other thing that I want to point out that would be in the minutes is we've had one hotline call from a employee, and that was on the topic of fair market value. I guess I won't say anything more about that unless Nathan wants to elaborate. But that's those are the key points from the minutes that you'll see later.
The one call, my understanding was that one call was resolved. Correct.
Yes, I think so. But that, yes, that was resolved, but that was just the topic.
Yeah.
So I'm just reporting on the topic.
Madam Chair. Just for clarification, maybe ask Mr. Geiger. So we're talking about fair market value as in property sales?
It was in a physician contract. Having to do with
Oh,
physician
oh,
contract.
yeah, okay, got it.
Were you looking for a motion for this, or should we discuss it when we get to the calendar?
I don't know if we need a motion or just some, I guess I'm listening for some, something affirming the board's consensus that we wanted, that we should show up at 5 o'clock on,
So this will be a 30-minute training or a 25-minute training?
something like 20 minutes with 10 minutes for
20
questions or
minutes.
something like that. Something like that.
Are there any, I don't know that we need, Dr. Esther?
No, I'm just getting a thumbs up.
Okay.
I support that recommendation.
If there are no objections, we can make that change for the November to 25 for the training. No, that messes up the setup. It's giving me side eye. Okay, let's move on to the next agenda. Senior leadership reports.
Through the chair, as always, I encourage you to read the entire leadership report if you've yet to do so. And I would like to bring a few highlights to your attention. Dr. Rosenfeld stole my thunder on my first point, but I'm excited to report the arrival of Dr. James DeJoya, our new medical director for behavioral health, as well as Dr. Genova Stearns, a locum psychiatrist that's going to be helping out in the MHU. Much needed psychiatry help. And I think a look to the future and how we're bringing permanent staff on. We're still relying on contracted support to supplement, but we're getting there, and I'm excited for the community and for the staff for that. Secondly, on October 17th, the state of Alaska granted Bartlett Hospital exceptional relief for Wildflower Court. It's something that we've discussed at board meetings before. We had asked for an increase in our daily reimbursement rate to the state average, which was $814. The current rate is $600. They granted that request and bumped it up to the 2023 number, which is $820 a day. So this comes at a really important time as we're making this transition with Wildflower Court, ensuring that we can take the proceeds of those additional reimbursement rates and put them back into Wildflower Court to ensure that we've got appropriate staffing and can meet the needs for the team and the residents over there. There were a few conditions that was talked about in the Finance Committee meeting that came with that, with the approval of that request, but we're on top of that, and they're all very reasonable and appropriate requirements. Next, I wanted to mention to the full board, this was announced in at least the Finance Committee, but we have made a permanent CFO hire. The gentleman's name is Joe Warner. Some of you may know him. He's scheduled to start on the 15th of November. The hospital went through, and administration went through an extensive interview process. There were 11 total candidates identified between both permanent and interim candidates. And through that process, it was a unanimous choice of the interview panel and the hiring panel to move forward with Mr. Warner. He is a former Bartlett controller and CFO, and we're excited to bring him back to Bartlett. Also, we'll be rolling out the employee engagement survey during the upcoming month, and I wanted to make sure that the board was aware. We're going to be working with Press Ganey, a nationally recognized organization, to do that. We're excited to get feedback from the staff and intend on utilizing a consistent survey tool and format annually over the next 3 years so that we can not just gather data from one survey, but trends over the course of time. So we're definitely looking forward to that, and we'll have more to report out as we start to get results. And then lastly, because I brought this up in our last meeting, the senior leadership team here at Bartlett's continued to work on a dashboard that we'd like to incorporate into the monthly board report that will help visually indicate the health of the organization. It's not quite ready for prime time, I can say, but we have discussed it at length, and we plan on including graphics that would inform the board on things such as staffing, patient satisfaction, occupancy and census information, and then also finances.
And with that, that's my report for today, unless there are any questions.
Next.
Home health and hospice report. Okay. Okay. All right. So I noticed that Nathan put a little piece up there on his report about our hospice survey. I didn't include that in this because I had submitted this report prior to their arrival. So we did go through our hospice licensure survey last week, and they have 10 working days, 10 business days to submit their report to us. So I'm not real sure at this point what that report is going to say. But it was a good week for us, and we feel like we did very well on our survey. So what things that I think that we may find on that are very simple, easy to fix, wording type things. So I look forward to that. And then we will, when we receive that full licensure, we'll be able to start really growing our business and billing for our services. On the census for home health, whenever I submitted this report, we were at 10 active patients on our home health services. And that's about the max that we really need or want to provide until we go through that licensure is 10 at any given time. We have serviced 21 patients since we have opened our home health services. And then hospice, we are at 6 active hospice patients right now. And we've had 10 that have received care since we began seeing hospice patients. So we're growing well and sustaining that very well. So on staffing updates, we do have some applicants for both service lines, some licensed nurses, and that's pretty exciting to us. We do have openings for some therapy staff, but we are able to provide and meet the volume of patients that we're serving at this time. We continue to prepare for our home health survey. Actually, the state asked us which we preferred to be surveyed first, and we elected for the hospice. And so I expect home health survey probably in November, 1st of December possibly, and we're actively getting ready for that survey. Some of the things that I will need to do in preparation for that survey is to get our QAPI plans and our metrics that we will be measuring before the quality committee of the board. And I think that that's coming up within the next 2 weeks. We continue to work on our electronic health record training, and as with all EHRs, that's very difficult and challenging for us. So any questions related to our home health or hospice services? I'll move on to our long-term care facility, Wildflower Court. Most exciting thing I have to say, and I think I told you last month that we had hired a new director of nurses, and she has begun at our facility. She's actively training right now, and she comes to us with quite a bit of experience. So we're excited. And maybe next month I can bring Leslie with me and introduce her to you all. And our traveler will be finishing up December 31st. And Kelly's done a great job for us. We're currently at a census of 52 at Wildflower Court. As I said, we're a 61 bed facility. 54 is about the max that we can provide care to with the staffing that we currently have. And I put a little graph in there. I plan to trend that for you so that you can see that we are continuing to increase that since Bartlett has taken over. The QAPI committee met to review our performance improvement projects, and I will be presenting our outcome metrics to the quality committee of the board at the next meeting as well, and get our QAPI plan approved by them so that it can come on to the full board. One of the things that I am expecting our survey at Wildflower Court anytime as well, and one of the things that I will be bringing forward will be some policies for the board to approve in the near future. Any questions related to Wildflower Court? Thank you.
It's great to see the trend. I mean,
Thank you.
going in the right direction there, Ken.
Yes, thank you.
And it's great to have the exceptional really.
Yes, it is. That was great news.
I'd like the law update from Bartonella and Erin Wright.
Sure, I'll defer to Ms. Knoll to start.
Ms. Nault, are you ready? Do you have anything for us?
Good evening. Yes, thank you through the chair. I can give the board a quick update on the projects that I've been working on since the last meeting. We were asked to, and we provided a response to the Bartlett auditors. Our audit letter response was submitted with respect to legal services provided during the last fiscal year. I've been assisting with finalizing the purchase agreement for the BBGH property and assisting with drafting and ongoing negotiations for new professional services agreement for anesthesia services and the new professional services agreement for radiology services. I have also assisted with drafting a new professional services agreement for women's cancer care services and with drafting and negotiation of a new physician recruitment agreement for a radiologist that would be starting this fall, and employment agreement for a new general surgeon that would be starting next fall. I was asked to review and provide recommended edits and comments on a pharmacy services agreement for hospice, a pharmacy services agreement for Wildflower Court, and a physical therapy services agreement for Wildflower Court. And then since the last meeting, I worked with senior leadership and CBJ Legal to compile comments and propose revisions on the revised med staff bylaws, which includes revisions to the rules and regulations, the credentialing policy, and the operations manual. CBJ Legal and I met with the attorneys that are working with med staff to work through a couple of legal issues and get some clarifications and provide some clarifications. And then I will be attending that med staff ad hoc bylaws committee meeting that Dr. Rosenfeld referred to, and I believe Emily Wright from CBJ Legal will also be there. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Knoll? Thank you, Ms. Knoll.
Thank you. The only addition is I will be at that meeting as well, and we've been working through the bylaws and providing feedback.
Thank you. All right. Foundation report.
Thank you. Good news, we're bringing back Santa, visit with Santa this holiday season. It'll be December 19th, and thank you, Mr. Ramsey, for agreeing to be Santa Claus.
I'm working on it.
I've got it all, suit, all of it. We are hoping to bring back to the levels of 2019, where we had a very large event. Santa Claus met with about 100 kids, and we're shooting for that once again. We'll have photo booth, the carolers will be here. It's going to be a great event, and then holiday treats in the cafeteria. So mark your calendars for December 19th. With same note of events, I've been working with Gail and Aaron in planning a celebration for the recipients of the AHA Awards, and that is going to be on January 27th. We've already reserved the yacht club, and there's a little more planning going on for that. Letters are going to be going out soon, seeking sponsorships from community partners for the event. So also mark your calendars on that. The Give from the Heart payroll deduction campaign is just an ongoing campaign now. We have 32 out of 600 employees donating for payroll deduction. Contributions amount of $565 by pay period. And I'm working with Aaron on a future town hall to have a presentation with one of the teams that have been recipient of support from the foundation and what it has done for the team, for the community here. And hope believe that will answer some questions, and people don't have a lot of familiarity with the foundation and the payroll deduction campaign. So more to come on that. Sad to report that our administrative assistants have moved on to a job with the state, so I am actively recruiting for the role of admin assistant. Very flexible. If you have anyone that you think might be a good fit for this organization, please let me know. Coffee shop, working with Chad on the online ordering system for the coffee shop to increase sales and make it easier. The space from where the window is and the doors to the OB everything's very close. Sometimes the line forms and it's just not very workable at times. So with this system, through the Teams messaging, they can, and we're gonna try to go live next week, right? Yes. They can message the barista with their order and then come back and pick up their the coffee order. So it's a little more flexible in that way. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully it goes well. Good news is that the artwork for the, and I think there's a picture of it, not quite up on the wall. It's up on the wall now and it's just lovely. That is the donor wall for the Aurora Behavioral Health Center. And that's a painting of local artist Christine Kleinheinz. And then the donor names are around the artwork. You should go there and look at it because it looks so much nicer than that picture. So we're very proud of that. Since the date that I submitted the report, there's a couple new things. We have received some hospice donations of equipment, so a bed frame and some other equipment, and hospice indicated that they liked it, so we worked with the fire department and picked it up, and now it's available your storage for anyone who needs it. And also, we are working with a gentleman that was here over the summer on a ship and received amazing care at the hospital, and it was life-saving. And he has contacted me, and we're working. We're coming up with a lifetime gift as a result of that experience he had with Bartlett. So yes, it's a good news story. So thank you. And that's all I have. Anybody has any questions?
Any questions for Maria? Congratulations on all of that. Excellent job. All right. Mr. Bryson, welcome.
Thank you.
To your first board meeting as our liaison.
I am very excited to be here. The mayor let me know a little while ago that I was going to be the liaison here, and I'm honored to be here on your first board meeting. So it's kind of, there's always new leaders. Well, not always. We're in a time period of new leadership in Juneau in a couple of different areas. I think about when I was first on the assembly to where I am now, and none of the leadership is the same. We have a new city manager, a new finance director, we have a new public works facilities director. The list goes on. And so I'm honored to work here with you, and I look forward to some great stuff. Oh man, let me bring you guys up to speed. I am the chair of Public Works and Facilities. So I was making note when you guys are talking about your legislative priority list. I think it'll be a little bit easier to get your stuff on the legislative priority list this year. What do we have? So we had a reorganization meeting where we said goodbye to Maria Gladaszewski and Lauren Jones, who filled in for the last bit of Carol Treem's seat. Mr. Jones had been to pretty much every meeting since he had left the assembly, so it was really easy to bring him back in. Notably, we did confirm that the cold weather shelter, the emergency shelter, is going to be operated out of the Thane warehouse. That's what's going on this year. I thought you guys would be interested because we want that emergency shelter. The most notable fact is that the first night wasn't that cold, and the city's run cold weather shelter, they just weren't allowing as many activities. So they didn't have as many visitors the first night. Then the temperature plunged. And then all of a sudden, imagine that, everybody behaved and was able to use the facility. So holding those citizens accountable and saying, this is the standard we want you to behave to, it actually worked. I'm also on the Glory Hall Housing First Board of Directors, and they are trying to work on the willfully non-compliant or the people that are not using their services right now. And I included that because any decision they make there that impacts people's lives out on the street could be an impact here. So I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop as they're having that discussion. We asked the point blank question, could we start arresting people for drinking and being publicly intoxicated? And then the first answer is they're just going to bring them to you guys. So it doesn't really solve the problem, right? So I'm well in the center of that one. So my daughter is a nurse in Portland. She was a recipient of the Bartlett Foundation scholarship while she was in nursing school. And to quote her, she says, "Dad, I'm adding letters to my name before I come back home to work at Bartlett." So I will bring a nurse back here eventually, but she wanted to have emergency room department experience before she came back up here. I'm really excited. I know and recognize a lot of the faces around here. Some of you I haven't had a chance to work with or meet yet. I tell you what, if you want to write my phone number down, if you want to take a moment to meet with me offline, 723-4109. And if you just need to bring me up to speed, tell me your perspective on something, afternoons are the best time to get me, 723-4109. And I'm always good for another 10 or 15 minutes where I can chat with you, listen to you, and give you my 2 cents on it. And you guys are going to see me every meeting for the next year. Any questions?
Yeah. Do you have a census on the shelter? How many people are there?
I don't have initial statistics. I want to say that like 20 people used it that second cold night. So they do have a few Black people using it.
I can maybe answer.
Okay.
I just read those statistics today. We're averaging a little over 30 per night. And I think the highest is 42 or 43, but consistently around 30, depending on the weather and while the original intent was a temperature threshold, the intent is to, even at temperatures like today, it's above freezing, but it's also raining, so it's a higher likelihood of hypothermia. So the intent is to keep that warming shelter open every night that's possible between now and the next April.
Do you know how many people are choosing to remain unhoused? Do you have an
I don't
idea
know
about that?
the answer to that one. I just know what the average that they've seen since they've opened and what the highest night is.
Just ask for a little more information and if Mr. Bryson could give it. So the hours are what? What time does it open?
I believe it's 11 to 6.
Oh, that's kind of late.
97.
And is there any food available there? I know.
Light snacks. They are being shuttled back to the Glory Hall in the morning. So they're taking them directly to food. But my understanding was there'd be some minimal light snacks there.
Thank you.
But I'll make sure I have an update on the warming shelter before I see you guys again.
Thank you through the chair. What's the capacity? What's the, how many does it hold?
55, 58. It was right around there. But again, I'll make sure I have a very thorough update on the warming shelter next time.
Is the expectation that there's no work?
No, it's a low barrier, but I believe that they're working in conjunction with the CARES Sleep Off Center.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what the policy was there, but I know that was one of the discussions they were trying to figure out. Let them stay there, and I think that's why they had some light food. If they're too much, they can always call that CARES hotline. So I think they're handling it right now.
Well, I think it just tied to that. I wondered about the inebriation issue. I mean, that somebody could consume alcohol or something, but not be a problem. But, you know, at what point, it's kind of a judgment call with each situation, I suppose.
Through the chair, Ms. Johnson. So yes, that's the exact thing that we're struggling with. It's why it came back to the assembly. It's why they had difficulties at the church facility that they were using it that was in neighborhoods that had, trying to figure out how far I go down this path. So they didn't have any like expectation. So pretty much it was a free for all because there just wasn't any expectation given to the recipients of that. And I believe that there's just a higher level of expectation that people are behaving with. The quote that I heard was, well, we could party at the other place. We can't party here, so I'm not going there. And so that actually is kind of telling and is helpful to the assembly. We don't want to be funding an emergency cold weather party shelter. We want to be funding life-saving emergency sheltering for the vulnerable of our community. And it's, again, how do we help the willfully non-compliant, or how do we get them separated from the people that we're actively trying to help? Because as soon as somebody has the answer for that, it's going to probably change the game. But that's kind of what they're struggling with that. But I do think the city's taking the right direction, going out to Thane, putting at least some level of expectation, and people, not surprisingly, are meeting that expectation.
One follow-up through the chair. I just wanted to say, yes, the other neighborhood is my neighborhood, and I'm aware of the spill over there and, you know, what was going on, because I walk a dog late at night too. So thank you for your care. And yeah, I mean, people need help, but it's got to happen in appropriate setting and with appropriate supports around the edges.
Can agree more. Anyone else?
Any other questions?
Yes, so we have been collecting blankets for the shelter, and last week we delivered about 25 blankets. So if anyone has blanket donations, they can bring them to the foundation office and we'll get them.
Thank you. My understanding is that occasionally blankets walk away with the folks, the guests. So blankets will undoubtedly be welcome throughout the year. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Bresson? Thank you. Welcome. And we'll see you every month for a year. President's report. I really don't have much to report on since I'm not the president, but other than that, thank you all for being here. And let's move on to the board calendar. Wow, it's only 6:30.
Should have less.
Governance isn't on the list. Governance is not. I'm hoping that Anita can remind me, it's either the 15th or the 16th, and I'm not sure. I couldn't log into my calendar.
Is our audit meetings on?
I don't see it.
What day do we decide? 13th. So the 13th we have the 13th we have a quality meeting at 3:30.
My meeting's either at 7:30 or 8. I just can't remember, and I'm really sorry.
Oh, we did it for 7:30, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. But I
had it on it.
I think it's the 16th. It is the 16th? Okay.
16th, 7:30, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've got it on my calendar at 8.
Yeah, I have it
On
on
the
mine
16th.
at 8 too.
You guys can throw a dice and choose whatever you want. I will be there.
7:30.
What did we decide on?
7:30.
7:30, all right, sounds good.
7:30.
Did I hear something about the 13th being qualified?
Well, we're going to discuss that. Does that work or not?
The invitation went out for 3:30 on the 13th.
That work?
Yeah, it works for me.
Works for you, Al?
Works for me.
Okay. All right.
What are the chances?
Any other Anything else that's missing or needs to be added to the calendar?
Planning is this coming Friday?
Planning is Friday.
Oh, I've got that on already. And that's a new deal.
Yes, it is. But we could put on the board calendar the Santa visit as well.
Oh, yeah, right.
But that's
That's in
That's
December.
December.
December, right, this is the November.
Oh, we're just.
I'm anxious for someone.
maybe Nate gives a preview.
No,
In
I'm
November.
working on it.
Okay, any other,
So while you guys are talking about calendars, we don't need to do it in November, December, but I do know that the assembly has a desire to have a joint assembly Bartlett board meeting. So if you guys, I would imagine that one of you coordinating with the mayor and getting a special assembly scheduled for that. As you guys are putting mental notes for the calendar.
Can you look at it in January or before January?
I'll let the board set that up with the mayor. They just say when the meetings are, just go to them.
Just be careful, please.
His office downtown would know when the last one was.
we will have a discussion. The question will be whether it will be with the, I'm sorry, whether it will be with the new board members or and I believe that's what we did last year, is we met in late January, early February, and brought in and introduced the new board members to the assembly, so we'll work on it. Any other?
Yes.
Yes.
It's not a board meeting, but the credentials committee is actually the 14th.
The 14th?
Yeah.
Okay. That's important to. Okay. We come to the end of our regular agenda. Any board comments or questions?
I just wanted to, on behalf of the medical staff, thank Mr. Rumsey for his leadership and support during the interim. He did an awesome job, and it's very much appreciated by everyone.
And the board would like to thank you as well. I was just gonna say, you're not going anywhere. Thank you all. Let's take a 10-minute break and we'll come back for executive session. I would entertain. Let Anita do her thing. Are we ready? Okay.
Madam Chair, I would move that we accept the credentialing committee's report.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion or objection to that? Seeing none, the credentialing report has been accepted. And do we have anything for the good of the order before we adjourn? Thank you all for being here tonight and.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Hour 45, I think it's a record. That's where we want to go. That's a record.
I didn't